Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome to the Thursday episode of the Hawg Talk podcast, presented to you by Vision Exteriors, live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are coming to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes. Alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. Tonight, we're going to be going over Arkansas's win over LSU. Arkansas baseball opens up their season in Texas, and Arkansas softball is going to be at the States Up Invitational and more. So, Adam, we were texting back and forth. I fell asleep at halftime. I did get to watch the replay of the LSU game, and I honestly think this is the most fun I've seen this team play on the road all year. The way they were trolling LSU and the LSU band calling the Hogs rock, paper, scissors during a free throw to see who shot the free throw. If that doesn't tell you that these players are loose, they're ready to go. They're ready to finish this last part of the regular season. I don't know what else to tell you. That was my biggest fear going into this, shorthanded, but how they handled everything. 91-62 win led by Darius Acuff with 28 points. Malik Thomas added 20. Even though he only scored 13, Billy Richmond, again, he's my MVP of this year. I just think how much he stepped up and how his game's evolved this season. He truly deserves it.
I mean, really, from start to finish of this game, it was all Arkansas. I'm trying to pull up some of the team stats here, but yeah, Arkansas shooting for 56%, LSU 31%. We didn't shoot well from three for 12 free throws. One big thing, and it might be minor to some folks, in the first half was seeing Isaiah Sealy just step up and hit 2 free throws.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't big or anything, but being a freshman that you haven't been getting to play a whole lot, you've been asked to come in and fill a void with the injuries or resting of DJ Wagner and Carter Knox. And you walked up and he knocked down 2 free throws on the road in SEC play. And that right there, I'm just kind of like, that's what we need. Just little things like that to help build on his confidence. I know that he still has defense to work on. I wholeheartedly, a lot of these guys do, but I was listening to Zach and Ruskin the next day. One of them, has calls a lot of the high school games up in Northwest Arkansas, and he'd watched Isaiah Sealy since he was in 8th grade. And he said, one thing about that was he was always better than everybody he was playing against. So he didn't have to necessarily play defense at those levels. So now you're going up against the big boys when it's in SEC play and whatnot, and he'll develop it. You just hope that he stays here to develop it, because that's always going to be out there is if he ventures off to go somewhere else. But I think that Billy Richmond and Malik Thomas being in the starting lineup, I think is a big key for Arkansas. Getting that spark early instead of starting games off slow like we have. So that, that's been an issue. I know we talked about, okay, well, if they're starting, who's going to come off the bench and help out or whatever, but we haven't seen that issue yet. I think that, potentially you can put Malik Ewan in that starting lineup. I think that that's your ultimate starting 5, having Malik, Billy Richmond, Malik Ewan, Trevin Brazile, and Darius Acuff. So Darius Acuff is just pushing himself further and further ahead, in my opinion, and not just the freshman of the year, but player of the year in the SEC. We'll see what happens with that. But this kid is, and like we've talked about the last few weeks, especially he's finding his, and I'm not saying he hasn't had the confidence, but he's finding his confidence to take whatever shot he sees fit, whether it's a 3, whether it's contested 3, he's pulling the trigger more, but he's doing it in a way that he's not just jacking up shots. And I think that's going to be huge for his future.
Yeah. I mean, 13 to 22. I mean, you're still shooting the ball 18 to 25 times. It's the quality and the fact that, again, you're being more confident. You're taking more confident shots. You're shooting it right off the dribble or right off the pass. You're going in there, and when you go to the cup, you're going. The biggest thing, I mean, and this is the only critique. I think we've had this critique all year. Finish at the rim. I would be amazed. Yeah, only 6 losses. I would love to see how many of these losses would be there if they finished at the rim. So many just layups or floaters. Like, I'll blame it on Steve Nash. He is the one that started the floater, running to the lane and then floating it up. There's a lot of guys that go and they're really soft when they, not soft as in personnel. I'm talking about when the touch is soft when they go to the rim. And it's almost like you got to go be a more aggressive when you're going to the basket, opposed to they're either looking for the foul when they come down from the shot, or they're just afraid of it getting blocked. Defensively, backside, they're letting a team, 14-10, 2-9 they got to make sure that the guy is not giving up a lob for an alley-oop or a lob for an easy basket. So this team overall, head and shoulders above what we've seen early in the year, but also proved in the Kentucky game, it don't matter who you have out there. If you get down on the hole, it don't matter who you bring off the bench. So that's the biggest thing that I've learned is you get the best 5 out that you feel confident that is going to get you the lead or get you in that rhythm from the start, and let everything else play out.
And it was Coach Calipari's birthday, so that was a good birthday celebration for him. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell, it was my brother's birthday too, so happy 42nd birthday to him when he listens to this tomorrow. But no, it was good. I'm trying to see here. There were some others because we've talked in depth this season about where the points come from, especially if it's Acuff that's getting you 20 to 25. Having somebody else that's going to be getting you 15 to 20, like who are these guys going to be that step up? And especially now when you took out DJ Wagner and Carter Knox, and you're having to find other players now that you've gone down to a 6 to 7 man rotation. And I think that this was the game, and we've both said, Mississippi State and LSU, the teams are not good, but we've seen how Arkansas's played on the road and played against teams that were inferior. And, there's been times that they struggled, but having Acuff put up 28 and Malik Thomas following up with 20, 48 points from your freshman duo is amazing to have. 18 to 24 from the free throw line, 10 blocks overall, 7 steals. I was kind of surprised that we only had 10 assists just because it seemed like there was a lot more, but there was just a lot more moments that these guys were able to just take it one-on-one. They weren't having to dish out because LSU was leaving lanes open for these guys to go through.
Yeah, and the biggest thing too, when I was watching the replay, they were talking about Arkansas's losses, and none of them have been those games that they let somebody come in that shouldn't have come and beat them. They haven't let LSU beat them. They went to Oklahoma on the road, and they squeaked that one out. They're not taking the loss on some of these games that they should have won. Mm-hmm. That's been a big plus. All 6 games have been against tough teams, and as much as you want to say Kentucky, look where they are now. It's funny how Kentucky and Arkansas are having similar seasons, because that Arkansas win has now projected Kentucky to where they are in the SEC now, right there. They're tied. I guess they're going off overall, but
and Kentucky didn't have a midweek game this week, so we'll catch back up.
Yeah.
Or it's now evened out since we had last week. We didn't have the midweek game this week. They don't have the midweek game. But there's still a lot to be decided over the next few weeks, especially with the top 8 teams. Because with Arkansas having 2 games against Missouri, then at Florida, at Alabama, Auburn this weekend. There's a lot that's going to shake up potentially over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
I'm really interested to see, and I know they played Ole Miss, to really see how Alabama plays. I think they have Florida this weekend. I'm really interested to see how because whether you like it or not, Eddie Uckle did not deserve to play.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep on making this comparison, and we can go down that rabbit hole like everybody else has done to the same outcome. That's not my point. It's the fact that he did contribute. It wasn't a guy that come in and he was all flash, and this guy, he averaged 3 points a game. He really helped this team. Yeah, they went 3-2 in the 5 games that he was there, but I really want to see how this remaining stretch, because if you want to be real, the committee might not even have to use the games that he was in. They might knock themselves out of contention of making the tournament. I don't know. It's all about and you talk about how Arkansas, this last half of this, or these last remaining 8 games or whatnot, is hard. It's hard for a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Arkansas is the only one going through this gauntlet. Look, Florida, A&M took a loss. Auburn, Texas A&M, all of them have a lot of important games coming up. So it's going to shake up. I pulled up the standings, and I think Florida's they got 2 conference losses. Arkansas and Kentucky's at 3 losses. And I don't know
Let me see.
You got the SEC standings.
Yeah, so Florida is 9-2, 18-6 overall. Arkansas is 8-3, 18-6 overall. Kentucky's at 8-3, 17-7 overall. Vanderbilt 7-4, Tennessee 7-4, Alabama 7-4, Missouri 7-4, Texas A&M 7-4.
Yeah,
and then after that you go 6-5, 5-6, 5. Then you drop down. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Your top 8 are decided by 2 games and less. And these teams play each other for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. In Alabama now, I say there's a lot, but they got South Carolina on Saturday, win. LSU next Saturday, win. They got Arkansas midweek. Then they got Mississippi State, win. So they have a pretty easy, outside of the Tennessee Auburn game, they got a favorable schedule. So I won't say, I'll take back what I said about them not being in the tournament, because I think they're going to be a lock because of their now their seeding might change, but I think someone said right now Lenardi has them as a 4, Arkansas as a 5. So we need to look out for that too, because if even Alabama playing the way they are without him, you've only got 2 tough games left on the schedule. 3. Now, Auburn, Tennessee, but I wouldn't even say that because the Auburn game's in Tuscaloosa. So you took care of business on the road. Your last regular season of the game is against Auburn. So outside of that, there's a lot to be played for. And this is where I think Cal took the perfect time to rest Knox and rest Wagner, because you're going to need them in 3, 4, 5 minute stretches. Maybe just bring them in there in the midway part of each half, just to get Acuff and Thomas some rest. I think that's going to be very important, because you look at Arkansas's remaining schedule that you said they're going to need somebody, because you can't finish out this regular season, then SEC tournament, and then the NCAA tournament with what you have right now and expect it to hold up.
And just for the fans that were bringing this up early in the show, figure we might as well take one last look at the rock, paper, scissors that everybody has enjoyed for the past few days.
Courtesy of the SEC network. That
I thought the funniest part about that was was Billy Richmond sitting there just like he was locked in, seeing who was going to win this.
He was the ref. He was making sure there wasn't any cheat. But look, the biggest thing is Acuff smiled.
And that was one thing that was talked about on, I think I've seen it talked about or heard it talked about on Chuck and Bo and Halftime. They were just talking about how Acuff does not show a whole lot of emotion. Yes, he gets in there and hypes up teammates when they've done something big. There's times, after a big bucket or a steal or big play that you can see him kind of like pound his chest or whatever. But like other than that, he's just very calm, cool, collected. I had a guy on the radio earlier today, said he's surgical with how he does everything, and that's I think the best way to describe that is whether it's everything that has to do with basketball and on the court, like whether it's practice, games, whatever, he's just always in compete mode. And that was one thing that one of my coworkers and I were talking about today, because his son played at Northside last season. Now he's playing junior college, but we were talking about Isaiah Seeley and past, as he was playing through high school, some of the travel ball and whatnot, that Isaiah was always kind of like cutting up, if you will, having a good time, but it also got himself into trouble at times. And the way I was looking at it is like, then this is the perfect place for him, having players like Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas that, from what it seems, for the most part, is no nonsense. And I think it's that same way with DJ Wagner and Carter Knox. A lot of these guys have already developed that. So, it's good for him. I mean, it's good to go out there and have fun, but don't do it in a situation that may cost your team, some points or whatever. But I think that Isaiah has a huge ceiling at Arkansas, and I'm excited to see next season what he can do year 2 in.
And you have a coach that's willing to put them out there. I don't think Musselman was, you look at Pinion and Ford. I mean, they're going off at Temple and UCF and they're averaging 15, 16, 18 points a game. So him being able to bring him in, knowing what you could have coming in next year, you're playing him, showing him, look, trust in me. I'm giving you these minutes. I am allowing you to up your minutes. And the fact that he knows what to expect out of Seeley. He's not throwing him in there, and he's not making it. He's not throwing him to the wolves. He's not putting him in a situation that he feels like he's too big for. And he's giving him 10, 12 minutes and popping him out. And I think that's the biggest thing with this Knox and Wagner being out is he's giving them 10 minutes. Dude, just come in, do your thing. Just hold us over to give our guys a break. And he's coming in and he's producing. You're talking about the free throws. That's huge. The fact that you're coming in, and I wouldn't say minimal minutes because, you're getting 10, 12 minutes. That's really good for a freshman for his caliber. You were thinking that he's going to come in and be another Pinion or a Ford. Come in just because he's from Arkansas, but there was a lot of people that was talking. Zach was one of them. He covers Springdale. He was saying how special he was. And you get him in an SEC style play. You get some muscle on him. You get his confidence going. You have a guy that he's accepting his role. That's what will make him special. Because guess what? If you could get him to have a Pinion or a Ford type of year, what they're having at another school at Arkansas over the next couple of years, that's going to be what we want from a Billy Richmond. He's going to be the next Billy Richmond, a guy you can count on. He's going to hustle. He's going to get you 10, 15 points, but he don't have to play 37 minutes, and he can give these other guys a break because we know Cal's going to keep bringing in these stars.
Well, and we've seen too with Carter Knox. I think Carter Knox more so than others, but he has those games where he might start, or even if he is coming off the bench, that something's off, not having a good game, whether it's not feeling good, attitude, whatever the case may be. But now you've put another player, which Isaiah Seeley. Hey, we've put him in these 2 games that we didn't have these guys. So when we bring these other guys back, hey, we resort back to some of this lethargic attitudes, whatnot, moping around the court, if you will. Guess what? I'm going to pull you because now I know that I know what I'm going to get out of Isaiah Seeley.
Exactly. And that is, and I know they're on the same team, but that's got to spook these guys about Knox. And I'm not, again, we throw speculation, but we're just observing. That could be an issue. Knox is expecting to come back, but you test the waters and you come back to Arkansas. Look at Duthero. He goes out and he's doing really good in the G League. But you had a point to where you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out on the Razorbacks. You got a guy from Arkansas. And I think as much talk as everybody says about getting these in-state kids, you get them on campus and they want to be Razorbacks, they are going to be blessed. They're going to be so thankful to be on that court. They're going to give it their all. And that's the difference between what you see. And when it comes to the team, you're not bringing Knox back when he's not ready. You're not bringing Wagner back when he's not ready. He's not healthy enough. You're not risking him being done for the whole season because you got a guy in Sealy that can foot the bill and come in and put in work, and you can bring those two guys back when they are fully ready. And that could be this weekend. I hadn't heard anything, seen any kind of injury reports or probables. That will probably come out tomorrow or Saturday, but it's a breath of fresh air because what we were talking about 2 weeks ago, Adam, I feel a lot more confident about this team now making a push in March Madness than I did when we watched that Kentucky game.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something too, looking at this weekend, Auburn coming in, you lost at Auburn previously. The way I look at this game is it's a redemption game. And I look at it like, go defeat the Nepo baby in Bruce or Stephen Pearl, whatever his name is. But no, this is a game too. I mean, you've got to stop Keyshawn Hall. Yeah. Because you struggled with him last time. So I think that this is a game you've got to take him out of the equation as much as possible. I'm trying to see here. Yeah, he's averaging 20.7 and Acuff's averaging 20.8. So, they're neck and neck. Rebounds, Keyshawn Hall's averaging 6.8 rebounds. We got Brazil at 7.2. And I've heard something too that I forget how many years they said it was, but Darius Acuff could finish the season leading the SEC in points and assists, and that hadn't been done in a number of years, which I think would be awesome too. Yeah. But this is, I feel like what we're starting to see with Acuff these last several games leading up into these next 5 to 8 games, whatever's left, we're seeing this build towards the postseason. Rather than you see some players disappear a little bit, and I'm kind of looking at you, Darren Peterson, over at Kansas. That you want to sit out the big games, but you have Darius Acuff who's welcoming it. He's open to the challenge. It's, hey, I dropped 24 last game. I'm going to try to push for 30. I mean, so he's continuing to build his resume because we all know that he's one and done. We all know that he's a lottery pick. We all know that there's a good possibility, depending on which team gets the number 1 pick, depending on which team needs point guard the most in the upper half of the first round of the NBA draft, like that's where Acuff is going to go. So you're looking at it, he could be anywhere in that top 5 pick, depending on who needs the point guard. And I think that from now until the end of this season, we are going to get the best Darius Acuff that we have seen game in and game out.
Yeah. And right here, perfect. I was going to say the same thing. It's LeBron. LeBron's killing it.
So y'all don't want to y'all don't want to take shots at Nick Smith Jr.
This right here. Yeah.
I thought Arkansas fans took shots at Nick Smith Jr. with this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't, because I knew that Nick Smith Jr. was legitimately dealing with injuries. Darren Peterson's, I don't know what his is, but the games that he's missed have been their biggest matchups. So it's I look at that, and if I'm a recruiter or a scout for any of these teams, I look at it as you're ducking the top competition in the NCAA. You don't want to look inferior to these guys. You don't want to look inferior to an AJ DeBansta. And so what do? Oh, I've got the flu, or I'm sick, and so I'm going to sit this one out. You wait until minutes before the game, you go through warm-ups, this last one, and then go tell the coach, like, yeah, I'm not going tonight. But
that's what happens when you let that agent get involved in it. When your agent's on the floor talking to the coaching staff or whoever they were talking to, and then he's not, or I think it was he played the first half and then he sat out the second half. That's part of that. This is another one of the downsides of this transfer portal NIL. You're letting agents come in and load manage them. And when you keep doing that, what is it setting up for future? And we'll lead off the next segment, because I'd posed a question to you, and I want to get the fans' reaction off of this. But Think about this while we go on our quick 30-second break. Would you rather have an issue like Alabama where you take a chance on Bediako, you find a loophole, you think it's going to work, and you bring him in? Or do you have a situation where you get Peterson, you come in, but you never know when he's going to play? So, yes, they could get a 1 seed, but what happens if you play Duke in the Sweet 16 and he shuts it down? So that's the question. Which situation would you rather have? Because what if the Bediako thing would have went the other way and he was been able to play? Not looking at the outcome, but going into the situation, what would you have rather have? Would you have rather have a Bediako situation or a Peterson situation? But back to the Auburn game, you cannot let Pettiford get hot. He's only shooting 26% from the 3-point line, but he shot 155 threes. You can't let him get hot. And the same thing with Overton. He shot 126 threes. He's shooting 36 threes. You let Hawg get his. You kind of treat this as what I would do if I was scheming against Arkansas. You let Acuff get him, but then try to focus on everybody else not getting theirs. If you do that and you hold Pettiford, let him shoot 10 threes in the game and maybe go to a 10. Same thing with Overton. Let him shoot, have an off night. Arkansas wins.
Definitely. We'll see how it goes.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. After the break, we'll start off with Bediako Peterson thing, and then we'll talk about Razorback baseball starting their season off in Texas. Softball is in San Marco, Texas, and we'll have a little fun ending out the show with Nick Wright's fix to the NBA All-Star game. And we will be right back after a 30-second commercial from Vision Exteriors. Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding installation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality. And welcome back to the Hawg Talk podcast. Adam, I'd asked you a question earlier that you said you wanted to take some time to think on and give your opinion on. So I'll start off with you. If you were a fan, and again, I'll pose this question as we don't know the outcome. We don't know about the injunction. We don't know about, the judge and all that. As a fan base, what situation would you rather have? The Alabama situation with Bediako or the Kansas situation with Peterson?
Here's my take. And Transplanted, your 2 comments are actually part of our next segments. So we will get to yours. Yes. So if I had a choice to pick between these 2 situations, I would look at it like, I think that I wouldn't want to deal with Darren Peterson. I would rather deal, if I was in that situation with Bediako on that team, whatever, if I had to pick one or the other. Reason being is through the recruiting process at a high school, you're planning for this season, your preparation for this season. You planned on Darren Peterson being a focal point to your team for the entirety of the season. That's what you did. You based your recruiting, your transfer point, you based everything around Darren Peterson. And so I think him being out now, granted, Kansas still has a great team without Darren Peterson. I believe they're 9-2 without him, or something around that. So I would rather have the Bediako situation just because he came in mid-season, played a few games. You're not going to be punished by the NCAA for him now being deemed unable to play. So I just look at it, besides being made more of a joke like Nate Oates has been by every time he opens his mouth, I would rather deal or have to deal with that situation.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like you've put way too much into the entirety of your team and your game planning because of Darren Peterson.
Yeah. And I agree with you. The fact that what I'd stated is my biggest fear is he decides to play. You're in the Elite Eight, or you're playing in the Final Four, and you're going up against a Duke or an Arkansas or a Texas Tech, some big time matchup, or you're in the Final Four and this is to play for a national championship, or let's say you're going to the national championship game. You're playing for a national championship game. Guy comes out, stretches, looks around, talks to his agent, dips.
Hmm.
I think that would be, I mean, at least with the Bediako situation, you rallied the fan base around you. Everybody now is behind, Alabama fans, not everybody else. Alabama fans are behind your team. They are now giving them a boost that now we know the situation of him being gone can help the team or propel them into a Sweet 16 team, because they're both really good teams without their star player. Also, the fact is, knowing how everything plays out and knowing, okay, I might get 5-6 games. Judge is going to rule against this. I still have 6-7 games. I look at the remaining schedule that we pointed out. We got 2 tough games left. If they're not going to judge us on the 5 games that he played with us, and I've only got Arkansas, Tennessee, and Auburn left on the schedule, I'm a 4 seed as it is. The worst is probably a 7 or 8 seed. I'll deal with that, because at least you know where you're at, and you're going to be playing the rest of the way with this same core group. There's no back and forth, and we go with what we can, opposed to the not knowing. And I know that's got to be hard on the coach, because his hands are tied, because he's doing a lineup with this guy, and then he decides not to play, or he plays a half and he's like, I'm out. You just never know. And how he is able to do that. You brought up Nick Smith Jr. I know there's a lot of heat on that. He was actually injured, but yet it makes a situation like this with Peterson, you're not going to trust anybody that says anything anymore. And there's a lot of that went with the Nick Smith Jr. Nobody believed it. You could come back and have all this documentation after the fact that he was legitimately hurt, but the landscape of college basketball and college athletics, it's a guilty until proven innocent type of situation with everything, with any player moving forward.
And I mean, this is where we get into, like this comment, paid, not playing. I think with some of this, you've got to get to a point, and I think it's going to take your CBA. It's going to take more rule changes, whatever, but they've got to get into, hey, if you're not going to play for whatever, if it's not like you don't get paid for it. I'm sorry. I don't see why we still get to get paid. So I think it has to be a pay for play. You can't just say, hey, we're paying you this amount for a year. No, it needs to be, we're paying you this amount to play 80% of the game, or whatever they decide upon. I know the NBA has their 65 game rule policy for awards and such. So I think that they need to do something similar, or go back to allowing players to go straight out of high school to the NBA draft, and keep the one and dones out that want to just jump straight pro.
I think that's what it's going to go to. And I think moving forward, I want to see how this affects those NIL deals. I want to see how this affects future kids' money when they're coming into, and that's where this is going to benefit Arkansas, because we see that the guys coming in, they're going to be expected to play. They're going to be expected to do this, and they're going to get paid a lot of money to do it. Meanwhile, you're going to go to Kansas, and how many other kids are going to go to Kansas knowing, well, my star player is going to come in, but is this guy going to be a team player? Is he just be about himself? He's about his bag. He can play whenever he wants to. How is that going to change the landscape of how Kansas moves forward? It might pay really good dividends for them this year, but what if now people in their head are like, man, we made it to the Sweet 16 and our dude dipped. We made it to the national championship game and he bounced. I don't want to put myself in a mental state of, I am that close from winning a national championship, and our star player leaves for no reason, or plays in an important game and just gets to have that special treatment. His agent's on the floor, and here I am spending 2-3 hours a day in the gym.
Mhm.
It's going to cause a lot more problems. And if they keep allowing this type of stuff to happen, you're going to see that.
And Texan, I think with yours, with the rev sharing, I think with it though, so coaches can have their own rules when it comes to fines. We've seen a lot come out, especially with Coach Prime at Colorado. So I think it's something that you implement. I'm sorry, you miss games, you miss practice, you miss whatever else, you're getting fined for it. And that'll cut out a lot of that. I'm not sure how it would work with the NIL money just because that's coming from a company. But I think with the rev share stuff, I mean, I don't see how you couldn't dock it. They're able to find players for other reasons. So why wouldn't you be able to find a player for not playing in a game?
Yeah.
Especially a game that like abruptly 5 minutes beforehand you decide you're backing out of.
Mm-hmm.
So
And this right here, I mean, I get where you're coming from on this, Nathan, but it's still it's a different situation, and you have to agree that it's different because we know what bowl games compared to the college football playoff. It's a different category. You know, you're playing for a meaningless bowl game opposed to if you're in the college football playoff, you're playing for a purpose. You're still playing for a national championship. And these opt-outs, I almost opt sorry, tongue tied there. These opt-outs in these meaningless bowl games, it is a different animal because you're still it's meaningless. It's to get the 15 extra practices. It's not the college football playoff. Yes, we've seen it happen in the college football playoff, but you don't see as much of it in the college football playoff.
yeah. So we keep saying they've got to do something. Eventually, will whatever. But as it stands right now, I mean, if you're sitting out 11 games or whatever it is so far for Darren Peterson, yeah, there should be some sort of garnishment, fine, whatever the case may be, because there's no reason for you to get the money you agreed upon when you're not playing those games. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with it. Though. It's going to be a long time before anything's decided.
Yes. Well, moving on to the next subject, we had Peyton Dunn on from Choose Arkansas, and he was alluding to the fact that there was a big announcement coming. He's able to finally make that announcement, and boy, did they swing big, and boy, did they get big. Darren McFadden, a lot of people's mind, the GOAT of Arkansas football, is the alumni ambassador for Choose Arkansas. I think this is a huge boost in what they are trying to do. I think this is going to be that barrier that now they see somebody like Darren McFadden is behind this. This is a serious deal. This is something we can put our money on. We can get behind this. And I when we had him on, when they realized that they had to go to all different schools, I was very skeptical on how this was going to work because it was just not just an Arkansas deal. And I think they were being kind of tied on, well, you can do it, but you got to do all the other schools. Well, I mean, everything else is one school. Why are you making them have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever schools, not just make it in Arkansas? But Darren McFadden becoming the alumni ambassador for the University of Arkansas for this Choose Arkansas, I think is going to be exciting. And we'll see what happens with this. But this was a very good move in the right direction to get people to see that if everybody who sees Darren McFadden for who he is, they'll be willing to give money and get this NIL going for Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of good will come from it. So I'm curious to see what maybe gets added to their calendar of events now that they have McFadden on board.
Yeah. And what he's able to do, again, this is one of the things that don't just stick him on a poster. I mean, I know there's going to be restrictions on what he can do at games and stuff, representing Choose Arkansas, whatnot, but taking him to these events, taking him around. And then, of course, Texas is talking about the $5 a month for the DMAC club. Okay, that is great because you're not saying, all right, here's $20 a month, you're in the DMAC club, and we're going to send you a DMAC trading card. It's $5 a month And if people can get behind that and you get 100, 200, 300 people behind it and it keeps growing, it's gonna be something. It's not gonna be it might raise $1 million. But if it just does enough to where we can get 1 or 2 players or 10 players, I think it's going to be a benefit. And you have somebody like Peyton and his team working their tail off to make this work. When they announced that and were able to finally realize they got him, that makes everything, it's a big sigh of relief because, doing what he was doing and to be told that this might not work or all the naysayers. Now he's got Darren McFadden behind him, backing him. It's going to be a big deal.
Definitely. Like I said, I'm anxious and curious to see what they have on deck with Darren McFadden, but I think also that this helps bridge a little bit of maybe gap between Choose Arkansas and the University of Arkansas. Hey, we have one of your, greatest players ever on board, so let's get y'all on board a little bit more too.
Yeah, and hopefully they can come together. Like, and we talk about this raffle and having an outsider do it, and an outsider doing it at no cost. You're wanting to save money. Get rid of Link U. Have this be your NIL. Get rid of Remy Cofield. Let this be your way. You want a subcontractor, you want to contract things out, or you want to, Hunter Yurchek, this should be right up your wheelhouse. You're having somebody willing to do the work for you. Let them do it. I don't understand why we can't use this as, I know there probably will be restrictions, even if they wanted to, when it comes to them being tied to the University of Arkansas, but I haven't seen anything out of Link U since it's been announced. Still waiting on Remy Cofield. We ain't heard nothing from Hunter Yurchek. So why not embrace this? Let this be the way. Do the fundraising because it's going to your school. It's going to make your team better. That's the puzzling thing about it, just like with the raffle. But with that being said, when have they ever done anything that makes sense?
Let's go ahead and bust that out for...
Oh, the raffle.
Bing, bada boom. Let's see if it's updated. Yep. $1,910.
Yeah.
Oh, is it not showing up here?
Oh, I've got it right here. Yeah.
There we go.
$955.
Yeah, there you go. Transplanted. So we'll get to what? Probably 4 to 5,000.
Yeah.
Oh, 7, 8.
Yeah, I say 7, because it always goes up. Because if you go to the website, let me pull up the website because it brings up the one for the Kentucky game, I believe. Let's see if winners. The Kentucky game, the grand prize, the prize was $9,000. That's what the winner took home. So we're, if it raises up from $95 or $955 to $9,500, I don't know. We'll see, but you could double or triple that if you let somebody in-house run it, or let somebody like Peyton run it, that they're not going to ask to outsource it and astronomical fees. They're going to do their own thing. They're running it on their own. It's not going to cost the university anything. And then, so you look at that $955 that Arkansas is getting at the university. How much of that are they truly getting after paying these third parties and stuff?
Not much. I figure you're taking another 15 to 18% off the top of that. So who knows?
So, and that's why they're not pushing it, because it's not working. I don't care. Yeah. When we were at the Kentucky game, they had the table out there, but I'm talking about
table, and you saw a couple of ads or whatever that would show up on the screen. Hey, scan the QR code, blah, blah, blah. You'd see it for like 2 minutes and it'd go away. There's no emphasis on this thing. There's no push. So it's a failed experiment that they just need to write this one off and let somebody else handle it that is capable of doing so.
Well, moving on, it is Flow College time of the year as Arkansas goes down to Arlington Globe Life Field to play in the Shriners Children's College Showdown. They will be playing tomorrow night at 7 p.m., opening up against Oklahoma State. Saturday, they will play 10th ranked TCU at 7. And then on Sunday, they'll play Texas Tech at 2:30 to round out the Shriners Children's College Showdown. They will still be there. They're playing, and this is a separate deal.
Tarleton or whatever.
Yeah, Tarleton State in the Emegi, I'm probably saying that wrong, Bank College Baseball Series in Globe Life Field Monday 16th at 2 p.m. against Tarleton State. So they're going to be playing 4 games down in Arlington, and then they'll be in Fayetteville Friday the 20th against Xavier, 3-game set. And then they'll play a Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek against Arkansas State before their Friday, Saturday, Sunday against UT Arlington. So baseball's here. We're going to have Andrew Ellis next week on the Thursday edition of Hawg Talk podcast to talk about the opening, by that point, opening 4 or 5 games coming up for the Razorback baseball season. So really excited about having him on. And then the softball team, they will be in San Marcos, Texas after going 4-1 in the Kickin' Chicken Classic. They'll be playing against Wichita State, Clemson, BYU, Texas State. So they have 5 games this weekend before they open up next weekend at Bogle Park. So the first time you'll be able to see the Razorback softball team in action will be against Southeastern Missouri State. They'll play Friday, Saturday against Northwestern. And they play 2 games on Friday, 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. So difference in softball, they play multiple times in a day. So they're going to be playing 6 games next weekend to open up the homestand. And then they have the Woo Pig Classic before they jump right into SEC play. So look, it's here. Bittersweet time of the year. We're coming to the most important part of the basketball season. And then your spring season baseball, softball is thrown in there. So we're going to do the best we can to keep up on all the action going on with Arkansas sports. Again, Andrew Ellis will be on next Thursday, 6:35 to talk about the baseball team. But really excited to see, again, baseball, softball. We want Omaha and Oklahoma City in the same year. And I think that's the goal. And I know it's an uphill battle for Deifel because she's never got there. See if this is the year.
I think it could be. I think that they've really added to their pitching depth on the softball team. And Texan, to answer your question about the Monday game, Flo's it's not a part of that Shriners showdown. So that's why Flo's not doing that Monday game. That's a separate game that Arkansas is playing on Monday. So it's not a part of the college baseball showdown. So that's why it's going to be radio only for that one.
Yes, because all it says is listen. There's no TV on that. So
it's not a part of it. They're just going ahead and playing another game while they're down there.
And I don't know the reasoning behind all that. Don't have all the info. I'm sure Andrew or Phil or somebody can give us more insight on that. But
and also, this is the last year, hopefully, of this Flow Sports baseball contract. It ends 2026, so let's hope that they don't sign a new contract extension.
And also, next weekend for the Xavier series, Friday the 20th, first 1,000 fans get a jersey hoodie. On Saturday, the first 2,000 fans get a baseball calendar. And then on Sunday, they're having the kids' opening day. Kids get the run of the bases 13 and under. So there's a couple of giveaways going on next Friday and Saturday with some hoodies and calendars. So go down there and be one of the first ones in line and get some good swag from the University of Arkansas, paid for by the Razorback raffle. Adam, anything else before we wrap it up?
No.
All right.
It's Thursday. Everybody enjoy the rest of your work week.
Yes.
Have fun celebrating Valentine's Day or Singles Awareness Day, however you choose to celebrate.
Singles Awareness Day.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody have a good Valentine's weekend. Treat your ladies, treat your men right. Take them out to eat, steak dinner, all the good stuff. But Hawg HQ Live Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. As of right now, 6:05 Sunday.
As of right now, yeah, we'll be here Sunday.
All right, we'll be there Sunday. Hog HQ live at 6:05, and then we'll be back on Monday 6:05 for another episode of the Hog Talk podcast. For Adam Hall, I'm Porter Hayes. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you on Monday.